Hey guys, Coach Vic here from the Thai Boxing Institute of Mar Vista, California. And in this video, we're going to cover a few Muay Thai tips and techniques that I've used in real life self-defense situations.
When are you on the train? Never Hakuto, Floyd Mayweather, IBS. Be my bitch, and I kill you.
Okay, so before we begin, everything that I'm presenting to you is for educational and entertainment purposes. I am not a lawyer, nor am I qualified to give any sort of legal advice. Furthermore, I am not an expert in self-defense. I consider myself knowledgeable in Muay Thai and in fighting, but by no means have I ever really studied any formal self-defense. Overall, I really want you guys to think about like the difference between self-defense and combat. Combat sports, competition, all that, there's rules, there's parameters. To me, that's sport, which is completely different from self-defense. So what I'm going to show you in these videos are Muay Thai techniques and strategies that are used within the context of the sport of Muay Thai, but that can be applied in self-defense situations. So let's get to it. So this first scenario happened a few years ago. As you can tell, I still had hair. This one's important because it involves like an emotional response. Let's check it out. Let's take a look. It's like a morning class, Tuesday or Wednesday. As you can see by this reflection, we see someone sort of creeping towards the door. As you can tell, I sort of made eye contact with the perpetrator. I acknowledge their presence, but I show like I'm not alarmed or bothered by them, right? To me, they're just a normal person, curious, checking out the class, even though they have a beer in their hand and they smell like alcohol. But who am I to judge? So I'm just minding my business. He's saying something. I think he said something about being able to beat all our asses, which is usually the case with every situation here. People just like talking shit. My emotions are in check. I don't respond to it at all. I just keep my cool, mind my business, and carry on. All right, so this is where things are going to get a little more involved. He puts down his beer, which means he's preparing to do something. Here, a little bit of shadow boxing, hands in the pocket, who knows what's going on. Just sort of keeping an eye on him in my periphery. My direct vision is looking at what I'm doing, like my object, building the shoe rack. And my periphery is keeping an eye on him. This is one of the cool things about learning the sport, Muay Thai, is that it teaches you how to see things, right? It's like it teaches you perspective. The way I explain perspective to people is that, okay, so you have your direct vision, right? Like your eye contact. And then you have like your periphery. When you first learn to spar, I tell people to look at the chest, right? The center mass. Your direct vision is always looking at someone's chest. You learn to train your peripheral vision to be able to see whether the shoulder is moving, the left shoulder, the right shoulder, or the left hip or the right hip. From there, you sort of like can indicate what sort of strike is going to be coming at you. You really rarely ever use your direct vision to look. I mean, sometimes you'll use it to assess. You'll use it to make eye contact, and sometimes to like scan, right? But for the most part, you're always looking at the center. That's another important aspect of training this sport, is that you sort of learn how to read people. You learn body language. You learn how to read eyes. You can sense energy. That might be a little more advanced for those of you that are just like still learning the sport or still learning how to spar. But hopefully that's something that you can develop, or something that I can put into your psyche for you to pay attention to next time you're sparring. At this point, he's at the doorway trying to make his way in. Technically, there's nothing wrong with him being outside our door watching and miming. He asks for entry and I deny him. The second he steps in through that door, he's trespassing on private property. Anytime there's like a threat, my goal is to put myself between the perpetrator and the members. Ultimately, my goal is to keep all our members safe. Always, 100%. This is where he starts to intrude in. I don't know what his intentions were, but I'm not going to let him go beyond that. I don't get in his face. I always keep myself like arm's length away. When you want to really break down what fighting is, right? Fighting is two people in front of each other. In order for one to hurt the other one, the distance between those two has to be closed. One of the methods that I teach in order for someone to be able to control a situation is distance management. If you can manage the distance between you and your attacker, you can manage the situation. If I can touch you, I can take a step back and be relatively safe. If I can touch you and you can touch me, there's a chance of an engagement, right? So that's one of the aspects of distance management. How far you can stay away from someone where you feel relatively safe versus when like an engagement can occur. You learn all this stuff through training, but also more specifically through sparring. He assumes a fight stance and makes me flinch. At that point, I am put on alert. If you notice my reaction, I immediately put my head down and use my shoulder to tuck my chin and jaw. Man, I'm about to parry a shoulder roll, a punch or something, man. For the most part, everyone is going to try to hit your head, right? They're going to try to hit your head and try to hit your face, something, right? They're always going to go for the head. And that's also like one of the beginner mistakes of sparring is that you're trying to headhunt. A good trained athlete fighter knows that you have to mix the targets, right? You have to sometimes hit the head, hit the body. But in a self-defense situation, 9 out of 10 times, dude, I want to say 10 out of 10 times they're going to hit your head. Okay, at this point, he's just doing some weird kung fu hand movement stuff, and I maintain myself in a very relaxed, like non-agitated state, but also like stand my ground. I show that I'm not scared, not bothered, not frightened. Through all these situations, my disposition never changes. I never show like that I'm going to retaliate or react to their energy, their confrontation. I always try to remain calm and chill. This is like an aspect of controlling your emotional response to stress. Your fight or flight. What is your fight or flight response? It's like an automatic physiological response. Some people run from danger. Some people will fight and walk towards danger. Learning to manage your fight or flight is another benefit to training Muay Thai. Usually, if you lack control of your fight or flight, you lack control of your stress or emotional response. Oftentimes, people get tunnel vision or panic. Can't think or act rationally. They just can't react. Another aspect of self-defense, and this is something that correlates with fighting, is body language. If you show that you're scared or agitated or angry, that might just escalate the situation. Likewise, in fighting, I teach my athletes to stay very calm, very cerebral, right? Just to stick to the game plan. You don't want to exert unnecessary energy on anything beyond either fighting, like attacking or defending. For you to like be tense requires energy, and that is just like not economical. So the best way to approach fighting, in my opinion, is to be non-emotional, and that is something that translates over to self-defense. Keeps antagonizing, one last little fake punch to my face, and gets bored and walks away. And then I was like, whoa, what was that? Back to building my shoe rack as if like nothing happened. Yeah, now it's just always like another day at our old location. Second situation. This one is a little more physical. So I don't know what sets this guy off, but he comes in hot. His guard is up and the southpaw stands ready to exchange. And I'm just like, whoa. What I start doing here is call this hand fighting, much like the kind of fighting that is taught in our clinch classes and that is done in the wrestling aspect of the sport. I immediately set up a lead arm frame as a way to measure and maintain my distance. But at the same time, I try to occupy one of his arms so that I only have to worry about his left arm if he decides to attack. This is what we call like 50-50 position or engagement. If you can touch them, they can hit you. I think he's talking about like he wants to go in and work out, and I'm like, no. I'm just like, hey, just relax, man. Like, I gotta close the door. I gotta close the gym. We're done. We're closed for today. And he keeps swatting and squaring up with me, switching between stances. And in my head, I'm just like, this is not a threat. Although, judging by his like stance switches and his guard, he may have trained a sort of martial art before. I feel like one of the worst things you can do is like escalate the situation with striking. Like try to look for the best case scenario being to diffuse it without any sort of physical involvement or altercation and just go about my day. Keeping them in my periphery while I close the door and put something between us. Put this hand, I parry it away, switch his stance, on guard. I'm just like, come on, and futzing around on this old door. Blocks it, gets in my face, you know? I persist with the door and I keep my disposition in a non-aggressive manner so as to not escalate the situation or provoke the attacker. I think it might have jammed at this point. Oh man. Now we're hand fighting, like parrying technique. You see this in other martial arts as well. Wing Chun does it quite a bit. Like trapping hands, I think it's called. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. It's stuck. Oh, his door. Hated it. Tries to shake my hand. Okay, we're cool? Yeah? He tries to pull me in. And that's it. Like, no harm, no foul. Reiterate how important it is to just diffuse situations verbally and non-antagonizing. At first sight, this might seem like it could have escalated to something much more dangerous, but if I don't antagonize, if I don't follow up with their energy, like, then there's nothing for them to fight back for. You get what I mean? It's one of those things of like martial arts, right? It's like you don't use like force against force. I teach my athletes, my students, my members, like, learn to use other people's force against them. Even though there wasn't any sort of like physical altercation used, his energy, his emotion was that force, and I didn't respond to it and I wasn't receptive to it. Comment below on what you would have done in that second situation. Alright, the third example is a really interesting one. This guy barges in through the door, yells at me, points his finger, hops on the mat with his dirty ass shoes on, squares up and inches towards me. I'm like, what is going on here? Surely this must be a joke. I was with a client then doing a private lesson, and I remember was like, I have to put myself between this guy and my client. All the while he's like shuffling towards me, I'm thinking like my game plan. Like, how do I normally deal with a taller, bigger person? Usually it's about using speed, and that's the advantage to the smaller person against the bigger person. If we put it within the context of fighting, of competition, it's like you're in and out. You get in there, you score your points, hit the body, low kick, get out of there. If we're closing the distance, we're going to probably wrestle. This guy's going to try to swing at me. I'm going to wait for him to swing, duck under, body lock. What was I going to do then? Knee him? Fortunately, I am also a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Mind you, too, that Muay Thai has a whole system of wrestling as well as balance breaks and takedowns available. So if you're training at a Muay Thai gym and they're not teaching you how to clinch, you should probably find yourself a new Muay Thai gym. I trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 6 years. Spent a lot of time with Eddie Bravo, learning the 10 planet system. On top of that, I also competed quite a bit in Jiu-Jitsu and have done a lot of Judo, a lot of wrestling, and a lot of MMA. So I know how to handle myself on the ground pretty well. And I know how to take people down and control them very easily. I'm going to duck under, body lock this guy, take him down, get his back, choke him out. That in my head has been the game plan for any sort of situation where I've had to encounter someone much taller, much bigger. No way was I going to strike and try to like knock this guy out. I tried to verbally de-escalate the situation. I remember being like, are you sure you want to do this? And he's like coming at me. And I'm like, okay. I kind of back away a bit, create that distance. And then I'm like, all right, here we go. So it looks like it's going to happen. And then he's like, it's a prank. He has like his girlfriend or his wife or whoever that is filming at the door. I don't know what is going on in people's heads that they think doing something like this is okay. I don't know this guy. I've never met him, never seen him. He's never came in through here. Why would he think that's okay? Like, was he gonna like actually try to attack me had I not stood my ground? I was just so perplexed by the situation and so bothered by it. I'm in there working, doing a private lesson that this person is paying a lot of money for. And this guy comes in and thinks it's okay to behave in this manner. Like, what's wrong with people? You know? And then he just kind of walks off, laughs and smiles, and is like, okay, cool, all right, back to the session after I'm all like activated. Like, oh wow, I was like, that was close, you know? But yeah, I don't get people. Like, I don't. Why? Those are just a few of the scenarios amongst many that I've encountered at the old location. At our new location, none of this happens. The old location was just next to a homeless encampment, like maybe 2-3 blocks away. Probably one of the biggest ones in West Los Angeles. So oftentimes you get people trailing away from there, walking up and down the main road, which is Venice Boulevard. Second, we were next to a liquor store. So if you are ever planning to open up a gym, a Muay Thai gym, putting it next to a liquor store isn't the best idea. I think it's also important to define what is self-defense? What is self-defense in the eyes of the law? So I found this definition on findlaw.com. So what is self-defense? Self-defense is using force or violence to protect oneself or a third person from imminent harm. In other words, the victim reasonably believes they are in immediate danger of imminent death, bodily injury, or serious bodily harm. And if you are a coach or gym owner, I recommend you take a basic law class at your local community college. I was curious as to what extent am I able to use my martial arts training in self-defense situations. I would show these videos to friends, family, peers. A lot of times they would respond with like, well, why didn't you beat their ass? Why didn't you stab them or beat them with a stick? Or why don't you have a gun? Why don't you shoot them? I think it's important to recognize the implications of those sort of actions. This is what I've found in regards to self-defense law. Self-defense law requires the response to match the threat level in question. In other words, a person can only use as much force as required to remove the threat. If the threat involves deadly force, the person defending themselves can use deadly force to counteract the threat. If the threat involves only minor force and the person claiming self-defense uses force that can cause grievous bodily harm or death, their claim of self-defense will fail. So it sounds like had I either like ground and pounded this person or broken their arm or struck them and knocked them out and they hit their head on concrete and went into a coma, I would be responsible. Furthermore, it's not good publicity for a very well-trained martial arts instructors to go around town beating up people. Guys, that's not how we conduct ourselves at the Thai Boxing Institute, nor is it how I conduct myself. Say what you want about these situations, but I'm here now, and thankfully and luckily, no one ever got hurt. I never got hurt, nor did we ever face any sort of like legal troubles or ramifications. Training Muay Thai has given me so many benefits, aside from like the spiritual and like the physical aspects, but more so also like it's taught me these skills, the skill to recognize danger, the skill to control danger, the skill to not react emotionally, violently, aggressively. It's one of those things that's like, it's taught me compassion and empathy. You know, I have an extremely deadly skill set that I can use on people, but I choose not to. You get what I mean? Training Muay Thai, sparring, and maybe up to you if you ever want to compete, teaches you these skills. At least if you're training at a proper Muay Thai gym. One of the best tips that I've been given in regards to people that have been involved in other like sort of self-defense scenarios is that really think about and imagine how you will react in these situations. Like frame every situation that you think you might find yourself in and plan what you would do. Just like with all our athletes, anytime anyone competes, they're given a game plan by the coaches. There's something that I nag at the athletes about here, and it's you fail to prepare to fail. Muay Thai also teaches you how to hit someone, but also how to get hit. I think that's a very important aspect of self-defense that a lot of different martial arts are lacking. So if you're serious about self-defense, you have to find yourself a martial art that spars. It's really important to find a gym where they teach you how to spar. A lot of people have this notion that sparring is fighting. That's wrong, and that's detrimental to your health. Sparring is just a simulation of what competition may or can be. But there's also other aspects of sparring that are so beneficial that will also keep you healthy and safe. Sparring should be something that you use to help you practice the theory that you are learning in class, how to apply it. One of the benefits of sparring in Muay Thai is that it teaches you how to hit someone, but also how to get hit. How are you going to respond to getting hit? And are you going to panic? Are you going to be able to take it? Is getting hit something that you can tolerate? But Muay Thai isn't like the end-all be-all. If you are serious about self-defense, you should be training some sort of grappling art. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, wrestling, even MMA. These martial arts teach you how to disable someone without using striking. They also teach you how to get up from the ground, right, in case you find yourself with your back up on the floor. And if you want to have all your bases covered, you should probably be doing some sort of weapons training. I get asked about Krav Maga, and we do train with a bunch of, I think they're called like Krav Magaists. They'll come by the gym and kind of spar with us a bit. I don't have any experience with that martial art, but I would say that if you are interested in it, do your due diligence, do your research, look up the instructors, check out their pedigree, their lineage, and probably go to the gym and watch a class, and for sure take a trial, participate. Alrighty, y'all. Let me summarize basically what we covered. I would say, like, make sure if you're training Muay Thai for self-defense that you're sparring. You don't have to compete, but I think knowing how to spar, how like you'll react emotionally, physically, and learning how to defend and manage, right, the distance between you and your attacker are just fundamental aspects of self-defense. Second is, all these other things about self-defense are really true and important. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't be distracted. Carry yourself with some sort of like sense of authority or confidence. Alrighty, y'all, and that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this informative, educational, entertaining, help us out. Like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Second, follow us on Instagram at the Thai Boxing Institute. Or you can buy some merch. Support our gym, support our channel, support our fight team. Check it out at tbimerch.com. Lastly, I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you guys so much for believing in what we do here at the Thai Boxing Institute. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate all your time and attention. Till next time, take care. Bye.